it's been an interesting week. It's been a good week, right? We're just waiting for these last two modules to get graded. We made a black and green just because we could, it's like one of the rare times that you can muck around with a Word document and do something differently. It's a very simple, straightforward course assignment to do. You put in as much effort as you want to put in. A lot of the stuff that I saw was felt like pretty US high school, if I'm honest. Or what it is still a demonstration of commitment and an application of one's time and one's ability to consider what it is that UC wants you to consider about esports. And so whilst the course itself is not necessarily outdated, but it has aged by virtue of being around and enduring, that age is no criticism. It's actually quite an interesting thing to consider because so much happens in that period, and the period of time we're talking here is about, let's just say, a decade, right? And I know it might not seem like much, 10 years, but that's the rise and fall of sports teams happens in a decade. That's the team that comes out of the blue and wins. That's the new team is finally good. That's like 10 years of Beckham, you know what I mean? And 10 years of changes in sports and titles, and this PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5. That's the establishment of and dominance of Fortnite, for example. And that's the rise of competitor games and titles from everywhere and everyone trying to get into esports in this time. So concentration and simultaneous dilution. What's going on? So for my assignment anyway, I decided to focus on, so I just basically said I'd be being myself in the org doing research, because you can pick any role you want to do. And the games that we would focus on are like, Olympic level esports games or titles, right? And what's really interesting is that there is a distinction between these sort of Olympic level esports and typified American collegiate esports, as well as esports in general for the masses. To me, just from a sociological perspective of how everyone takes this notion of esports and applies it and does things with it in their own way, it's really fascinating to see. And just because we do this live on Kick, right? And it's very quiet this morning, so that's good. I don't mind that. I like a really small stream and just hanging out with regulars rather than a really big stream, chaotic one, a drama. Well, what was interesting is I was on Reddit and I saw that there was an advertisement for like a esports betting site for players who are competing for money in, I guess, just minor leagues or something, and you could bet on them. And that raises so many issues and complications, but also just due to the nature of Kick streaming and it being a gambling friendly streaming site, made me wonder what untapped potential is there. But, betting on sports has been a universal thing, and I don't want to get into it too much. That's not the point of today's recap. The point is to say that we've been progressing on this. The other thing that's transpired as well is we've got this confirmation of candidature. So it's so far I'm 4,300 words in. It's a 10,000 word document. Been progressing on this. What I did was we had an initial proposal for Dr. Mark Johnson to work with the University of Sydney. We entered Tara and this newfound conviction to bring the research to Charles Darwin instead and stay in Darwin. And, promises and expectations and so on. So we then did an updated proposal for Tara, and that was significant enough to be of value to our application for us to get I don't even have the paperwork on my desk anymore, but we used to have the contract around so we could whack it out on stream. But due to Tara's situation and the incoming of new supervisory team members into the project, I felt it was only right to update the proposal again to reflect the changes that were happening to my situation and in my PhD. So we did that update for that good professor, to keep it American, just keep it simple for my viewers, right? Because in Australia there's distinctions, and same as in Europe. Every country has distinctions between ranks and stuff, and what I really appreciate about my American viewership is that they just say, you're up there, you're up high. we're just going to call you professor, right or wrong, even if it's, you don't mean to cause disrespect, we're just trying to show you respect, sir or ma'am. So yeah, for my professor, I felt that she deserved to have a proposal written for them, so I updated the proposal from Mark's to Tara's to now our new supervisory panel team members. And the work that we did there was significant enough to, and relatable enough to be brought over into the COC, but it's not finalized. There's obviously like adaptations and amendments to be made, but we're effectively halfway through it now. The only things that really need extensive work is the literature review, because we're going to have to do a few additional things on top of what we have with our Zotero work. What I was thinking about doing was getting additional references, because we have those other knowledge domains that we want to explore, and we're still waiting on feedback from that proposal as well, so we know what we can incorporate. And even if we don't come across that feedback, I know what I'm doing, so I will make sure that I self-review, so to speak. But yeah, we've got to get more stuff out of this, and I want to see if I can combine it with what we learned in the in vivo training, so we could get some, I'm not sure, maybe some word clouds or some graphs or something. We'll be able to figure out something cool to assist with the literature review. And as part of the training that we received at Charles Darwin University, we were also informed of different types of literature reviews, which I was already aware of because I have worked with the Academic Language Learning and Success Program, as it was formerly known at Charles Darwin University, where I myself would help doctoral candidates and master's students and honors students and people doing research who were trying to be the very best, right? But it was interesting. They recommended something from the University of Southern Cal Uni, and so SC, which I thought was great. I can't believe how popular SC was. And just on a tangent, we watched that Netflix documentary on the college admission scandals, and I just was really blown away by the determination of people to get into universities that weren't necessarily my choice. Do you know what I mean? Like, but then again, I don't know much about that much about American universities. All I know is that there's a lot of incredible people anywhere, and I would agree with the overall sentiment of that documentary that like it's possible to get a good education anywhere in the United States if you're willing to pursue it. Nonetheless, returning to what I'm doing, yeah, a few different types of literature reviews. What I'm considering about doing is maybe, all right, so what did we do this week then? What did we do this week in terms of gaming and the stream and everything like that? Well, we started Fallout 4 and we're trying to speedrun that, right? And I'm not doing that great, but I'm not doing that badly either, I feel. I'm enjoying myself. The other thing with gaming is that we've been doing more dives, but basically we got like, I think it's 24, maybe 24 out of 24 ship unlocks in Helldivers 2. We basically unlocked all the stuff. That's how much we played, which is an accomplishment, but honestly one that feels like a bit hollow, because the more you play the game, the more, and at least in my experience, I'm finding like more toxicity and more, the game changes just due to the social element and who you're playing with and things like this. And I've found the more that I play, the more negative encounters that I experience, and then the less I actually want to play Helldivers 2, which is probably a good thing because my community is sick of it. And I've already put 200 hours in the title, and I feel like I know enough about the game to talk with Helldivers who may or may not demonstrate elite gaming attributes, right? So basically what I'm saying is I'm prepared to stop playing that game so much. And with the change, they got new changes in the game with new armors and things to unlock, and I'm just like, whatever. Whatever. It's a great title though. It's a great game, but there's so many games that I could be playing on my stream to explore. Pardon me. 2 weeks ago I was Mighty Crook, and it's the last of that flu has been like in the niggle and the cough and the sporadic coughs, but it's largely going away. yeah, so that's enough about that. And we beat Harold Halibut. And that game was spectacular. Really enjoyed that game. Fantastic soundtrack. Definitely worth trying. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but my experience of it and sharing it with my viewers was great. With the stream, it's just the same old, right? So like 250 followers, or we can just say Matt Bethesda, because they decided to like drop a follow, and then the Kick DreamHack controversy, which was just disappointing to hear about. Just particular people spoiling it for everybody, and that's kind of the same in Helldivers too. But you know, reputational damage is reputational damage, and it is what it is. Updated the COC. This is what we did for the PhD, and also, as I showed you at the start, we progressed through the UCI cert. And well, the week's not out yet, but I will say that I'm just going to say supportive supervisors, because from what I hear back through Lady Gaz, who's helping me by being like my support person on campus while I'm here doing all this stuff, is that everyone's supportive and understands where I'm at and what I'm doing, and they just want to know when do they need to make themselves available for me. So what I'm thinking is for next steps is we still got to do this administration to finalize things, but there's some big changes going on behind the scenes at the university, and whether or not, I know it's a priority, but whether or not it's really a priority or not, we'll see. Obviously, I can envision certain senior staff members saying, absolutely, go and get it done, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, just because you can imagine things doesn't mean that it's reality, right? There's a lot of that happens in people's lives and careers where they just kind of tell themselves a story about what's going on, but it's not actually what's going on. What's going on is something different, and you're just coping, making your way through it. And so am I. Something else that came up this week, though, was we talked about sim racing and driving, which was really interesting. I'm not sure if we still have it open, but like there is a group of people in Darwin with really advanced simulators for racing, right? I'm not sure if they've got SimCube or not, but like they've got really advanced stuff, better than what I could procure at the moment, and we're thinking that it might be possible to come to an agreement with them to help them in one way or the other in return for me being able to use the equipment, even if I have to pay a nominal fee, just so I can get some exposure to simulators and racing and things like this as it applies to esports. And as we said for the UCI thing, we had a particular interest in Olympic level things, and like Gran Turismo and racing games do feature in it. So it would be interesting to dabble in and to explore later, but it's something that's coming along like much later. That's pretty much it, because we've just been like, I'm not sure if we spoke about this on trainers or not last week, so I will just bring it up very quickly. Basically, the idea, I may have, but the idea that you could have a player of a esports title do a separate third-party training, such as an aim trainer or whatever, and how would that player go then playing the esports title versus a player who just didn't do the training? That's what I want to know, because I'm kind of in this unique position myself where, having not really played much Fortnite or esports titles, where I could do some training prior and then play the title, if that makes sense. And I've got the discipline, commitment, and desire to do so. So, you know, it's a possibility. I know it's not an actual study. It's just these inquisitive things that we do and experiment with, right? Then there were a couple of other ideas that came up. Often we speak about averages and like what's the average gamer and average streamer. And you got to be aware at the moment, because I'm streaming exclusively on Kick for, I think we've got about 800 hours left to do. So it'll be finished this year, and then we'll be moving on to a different platform. You know, what's average, what's considered average, and what's considered like the average streamer or the average viewer or the average gamer and the title or whatever is something that we haven't really specified or fleshed out that well. And it's been a long time since I've looked at sort of platform data, you know, but that's tangential. As well as what Andrew Huberman said the other week about thumbs and the mind and the brain, and how there could be potential differences generationally due to the extensive use of thumbs in all the things that we do nowadays. But yeah, that's basically like the update. I don't really know what else there is to what else there is to say. It's been honestly a pretty good week, right? It's been honestly a pretty good week. Like if I look back at week 6, it was like I was still sick, and the university was getting in trouble, and we were still trying to figure out if I could get a supervisor. A few weeks later, everyone's like on board, but we've just got to do the signings and keep progressing. But there's changes, and it's been a very busy period with a lot of public holidays. We had Anzac Day, we have had graduations, and the people who I work with is very senior, so I respect them and they respect me. And at present, I feel like there is no problem. There are things that are outstanding, but no real problems. But until we complete the confirmation of candidature and get everything like double, triple signed off on, there is still a potential risk that the project won't go ahead for whatever reason. But I can't really envisage that, but at the same time, by saying it, I can. Nonetheless, I've been pretty happy. The stream's been okay. Everyone's been doing all right. No real updates, but then again, no real setbacks either. So I think this week was a win. I do. I think this week was a win. If you go and say, well, 2 months, because it's been effectively 2 months of streaming full time. Have we gotten where we want to be in 2 months of streaming full time? And my goal is basically to get my hours on the platform and dip. Oh, we got on the front page. We got on the front page. That was the other thing too.